Alright, guys, hopefully this is working. Welcome to Sorry, I knocked the microphone instantly. Welcome to 2025. This is Ben here from Second Dynasty. This is our first stream of 2025. Last year we made our 52 episode run, which was very awesome to do. And today we're going to start a second run. Maybe we can do the same thing this year. Yay, Shergol can see and hear me. And this time, because I'm at home, and I'll explain that shortly. Yeah, I can actually see the chat built into OBS. Sorry, I'm just getting back into the swing of things after a calmer sort of little bit of time off. I wouldn't say a whole heap. We're going to look at what we're doing today. I'll let you know what we've been up to in general. Some stuff to show off from Albin, myself. And, Albin, if you're watching, would you mind taking a photo of the new turret that's on my desk? And put it on your Discord and I can share it. So, yeah. Happy New Year, everyone. If you're new to this channel, this is just a live stream that we here at Second Dynasty do once a week, which is usually an update, a work in progress sort of. I guess we just show behind the scenes what we're working on, what's coming up in the future. Sometimes it's very sort of like model oriented on how we actually do the ins and outs. Other times it's a little bit more of a hang and discussion. So hello to the chat. Let's see, we've got Doug, Shergol, Clive, Brian, Solo Spirit. Let's see. Derivative content. John is here. Jaren is here. Tamsin, Lord Scimitar, Anders. I hope that's everyone. I think that's everyone that's in the chat so far. So I love it when you guys interact with the chat. I'll try to keep an eye on it a little bit more today. And what we're going to be looking at is this thing, which may or may not be a Tribes release for maybe February, maybe March, I don't know. I need to check in with John if he's got something going already for that. So I don't want to commit to it. Hey Sam, welcome. And yeah, just this thing is actually a fan concept. So shout out to, I had to dig it up and I just made it in time for the stream. So a bloke by the name of Caleb, if you're out there somewhere, I don't know what your handle is, but this concept was kind of like a combination of some old school Star Wars toy, I think. Maybe it's not even that old school. It looks kind of like it's got a chopper hidden in it. I'm looking on my other screen. Combined with one of our ships. So that's what I'm kind of basing it on. And it is a bit meatier than our usual fare. I think I would also like to maybe do something different with the engines. But the back part, for the most part, is similar to our heavy fighter, this old thing. So I want to get enough value for money in there that it makes sense as a Tribes release. So having some alternative engines as well should make a bit of a difference, I think. So yeah, this is the inspiration for today. Let's talk about what we've been up to behind the scenes. Apparently, oh yeah, I forgot Discord kind of hides things in case you're showing it off. Let's see. So, yeah, a few things I want to share. One of the big things is this. I guess I'll rescale it there and see how it looks. So this is a preview of what's coming up next, I guess, from Second Dynasty. I would love to have been able to go straight into last year and gone straight into this year and gone full steam ahead with the Persephone. But as want to do, especially when it comes to very large ships, basically the only time we could ever do a very large ship would be after the very successful campaign of a previous very large ship. And usually we don't have the steam for it. The last very, very large ship that we did from scratch was the Beowulf, and it almost destroyed me. It's a beautiful ship. I'm very proud of the work that we did. But it was a very stressful time just because the production kept going on and on and on. And this may seem crazy large, but in February we are going to return to our tail sitters, the Expanse style ships that we have done. I have already modified the Sleipnir to use Gridforge, and it's not just that it uses Gridforge. It's also, I've gone back, certain parts that I know are problematic, I've redesigned to make more printable, fix the orientation for some parts. I'm going through deck by deck. And I also pushed back a lot of the walls so there's less modularity. Does the Hyperion fit into the tail-sitting line of ships? I mean, it's a tail-sitter, so why not? But that was a Tribes release. And you should note that our current Tribes release is also out, and I guess I can show it off if I can find it here in the library. I can see Lieselot's been working behind the scenes because we've got a lot of older products here. Then they're just getting some information updates that make them more visible on the My Mini Factory servers. So I need to come down here. Maybe I should just do a search for the Nipper. Let's see. Nipper. There we go. So this is our Nipper utility pod. It's a nifty little thing. I really like it. And this one was designed, or rather, it's based on a mod that one of our awesome community members did, that being Fabian. And let me just move this over a little bit so maybe it's a bit more visible. So this was the original version here. Which obviously these aren't Second Dynasty arms, there's some gluing going on, but basically it was a shuttle pod or escape pod that has been modified into some kind of utility pod with some really cool miniatures in there. I know this one and this one are ours. This one though, it could be another Papsicles, but it looks cyberpunky. In any case, so I wanted to... This is my painted by fans and artists folder. Sometimes I save the images off Discord or off Facebook just because, like, whenever I'm looking for inspiration, like, I just go through and look at some of the awesome fan paint jobs. Like, look at those control panels. That's just so much better. Like, no offense to our team, but, you know, we have a very talented community. And some of the people that have painted some of these things are probably in the chat today, so thank you so much for contributing. So yeah, just I wanted to shout out to Fabian and that, and also we were going to look at I was going to explain this campaign a bit more. So the campaign will release, I think, around the 24th of February. It's hard to pinpoint exactly. I'm kind of waiting to hear back from BackerKit, because that's the big thing. We are not launching on Kickstarter. We are not launching on My Mini Factory Frontiers. We are launching on BackerKit. And one of the reasons for that is because we haven't tried the platform, so it's potentially a new pool of crowdfunding people that we could reach, which could expand our existing fan base, which I'd love to do. And of course, I think most of our people are already on BackerKit because we do use them as a form of marketing tool for our past Kickstarter campaigns. And in this case, we would be having the campaign directly on BackerKit I had a good conversation with the one of the blokes from Backer Kit, and they were very interested to sort of test out the waters with how an STL based campaign might work, and they thought we were a great candidate for that. And I also happened to mention, like, is it possible at all that you guys might be able to prod the people that did already back the Expanse 28mm miniatures? And they're like, oh yeah, definitely. So who knows? We'll see. But we will be releasing 5 ships in total, 3 of which are new, and a revamp of the Sleipnir with the Gridforge and sort of modified interiors. So the interiors are more playable than they used to be. So you can fit a miniature into every room, aside from maybe toilets. And then the 3 new ships are distinct from one another, although they do share some components, which is to be expected with ships of this class. And then, of course, the 5th one is we're going to make our Nosanante official. We can't call it that, so it's going to be called the Fenrir, which is in keeping with the Sleipnir, being a child of Loki and a sort of monster from Norse mythology. The other ships, we have the Valkyria, we have the Ratatosk, and we have the Nidhogg. And usually with the spelling, we kind of either go for the anglicized version or the Swedish version, rather than the Old Norse, since they have a bunch of non-English characters. So right before I left work too, I was talking to Alban, and we have some progress updates for this little baby. I said to him it was a bit ironic that he took the photos on top of my Cyberpunk character sheets. So I guess you can see there one of my characters underneath, and all of their cyberware or bioware, whatever it is. I think that particular character is a little bit more bionics focused. You can see a couple of zits and things. I'm not happy with the print, but otherwise you can see the vehicle is together. It still needs the interior. However, we do have a shot of when the doors are open, and we also, maybe you can see a bit more clearly with the lid off. So the idea of this Zidani vehicle is you have 10 troops. They're meant to all be able to deploy instantaneously, so it has a bunch of doors that open. It must be awful to pressurize this thing. But it does look really cool, and I was surprised at the size difference between this and the other one, but I think there's something like a 15 to 20 ton difference in volume. Not shown here, but we went over the interiors, and I said to Alban, look, he put in like a conventional iris door, and I said, no, we need to give the Zidani a distinctive look. Now, we probably still need to get rid of this side frame thing, which is left over from our other designs. So possibly this could be expanded a little bit more. But here we have a more interesting door shape. There's still an iris behind it. Note there are no control panels. And this was kind of something that I just thought of, like, okay, you're an APC pilot in the Zidani Navy. One of the best ways to protect the security of the vessel is to make sure you have psychic controls. So basically, in order to get into the cockpit, because if you're an officer in the Zidani Navy, you have some limited psionic ability that actually will hinder a lot of Imperial troops from being able to take over the vessel, right? So I said to Alban, let's do a more interesting design to create something distinct for the Zidani, and to that was just a little bit of lore that I added in, if that makes sense to you guys. All right, I guess I've been rambling because the chat isn't really responding that much. I also did a nice picture of, I don't remember where it is. Oh, sorry, yeah. I redid this turret from, let's see, the Gorse turret. I'll try and make this a bit larger. Again, it's underneath me. I'm not going to open the Maya scene, but the turret from the Erebus from Soul Survivor has been redone. The barrels have more detail. The chassis has more detail. Some printing errors have been addressed. John was getting to this with some customers, and yeah, I just decided to go over it last night. So we have more detail, a lot more going on, and hopefully you enjoy those updates. And yeah, I think we're getting fairly caught up. Just trying to see if there's anything else I have neglected. Let's see. It doesn't look like it for now. So I also did do an image of all of the new ships lined up, but I think our future streams are going to be very much based on that. So I think for now, let's just focus on getting this ship done. So I might see if I can share the initial concept that Caleb gave me. Let's see, can I get that as... This was way back in like, I think ironically it was May 4th last year, so open image in new tab. It's only very small, but this was just a Photoshop mock-up. So this is the old style toy. It might be a little bit bits and pieces, and I was just like, hey, this is actually really cool. I'd kind of like to make something like this. And, you know, we already had some aspects of this model ready to go, so why not? And we also need content for the tribes. So at the moment, we've got this in Maya, I've got all this lighting on, but you can see there's no detail underneath. I still wanted to make this thing fairly cross-compatible with other ships, because the more the Starfighter parts can maintain some compatibility, the more useful they are to other people. So for example, here where this front and back connects, you can see there is a clip hole here. So maybe what we could do is add a little bit of interior detailing here, so that when this gets printed, it's if you use it with a different model, you have a bit of hull detailing there, and it's not going to matter as much if you've got a different kind of cockpit, is my thinking. But we shall see. So yeah, I just wanted to keep working on this thing. I'm not loving this section at the moment, and obviously this is mostly a block out. I think the clear thing here will have to be made solid, just because clear doesn't print very well. I kind of was going for, I don't know, a bit of a Enterprise nacelle vibe there, I guess. Let's see, the more compatible, the more flexible, the better we like it. Thanks, Doug. What do you guys think I should do about the engine section? At the moment we've got 4 engines. We've got these, I guess, additional thrusters that are added on the wings there. These wings in particular have this little section built in. I'm not looking to alter this, but I was, the overall design, but I was considering, should we change the number of engines here to give a bit of variance? New engines with things spinning inside of other things spinning. Could you provide a clear parts as optional pieces for those of us who would like to print them in resin? Well, that's the thing. It's not going to be used. Or do you mean like the cockpit glass and that sort of thing? We don't usually include them, but we do have some variants, and this will just be a recycle in some areas. Oh, by the way, Kathy Millett, she is going to be sharing this droid with us. So we'll get that free in whichever Tribes Month we release this as a cross promotion. And it is actually designed so that you'll be able to remove the droid if you want to have it outside of the ship. Let's see, I need a drink. Oh, but yeah, I was going to say, I'm at home because the wife needed to... She's got a horse that's being sold. She wanted to go visit the horse before it's sold. And the other thing too is it absolutely snowed a shit ton last night. And really I shouldn't have gone into work at all because it's like force majeure level. Like just a foot of snow everywhere. I got my car stuck. I had to kick the snow out of the way. Fortunately it's fresh snow so it's very easy to move, but... Yeah, one of her horses is the one that's been racing is moving on to another stable, and yeah, so she's just going to see it off, give it a good send off with a nice big bag of carrots, but it is very sad. Lord Scimitar says larger middle engine with a horizontal rectangular one. I don't like the idea of a central engine here. It doesn't feel like it fits. I'm thinking if anything, maybe like 2 larger engines. But it's kind of like, you know, it's like a single engine aircraft versus a twin engine aircraft. It feels like it's more appropriate that a larger, heavier craft have multiple engines. Heavy fighter, maybe a mine layer pod. What does that even look like, mate? I don't know. Yeah, I'm just more. I want it to be something achievable in a reasonable way. I think too, maybe we'll do something different for the guns. This kind of feels like it might be an older version. I feel like I've updated that one. I noticed that the computer's lagging a bit, so I'm not going to take any chances with a second copy of Maya at the moment. But I'm pretty sure we might have a more updated turret than this. But it will have tons of missiles and things. So I was thinking maybe we could do some new missiles. Although I had a look at, you know, Star Wars concussion missiles and that sort of thing, and they're not really that different than what we have on offer already. Let's see, maybe 6 or 8 engines on the rear. What about an engine strip like the Falcon? It looks like the Chimera variant version of the turret, which is outdated. It's the Cerberus turret. And this version is outdated, I can tell from the chamfering on the barrels. Which isn't so weird since the base scene was from Starfighter 3, which is a Starship 4 or 5 scene. Proton bombs, I mean, specifically I'm asking about the engines. But I also don't want to spend too... Well, maybe... Like a Falcon engine... Let's duplicate this up, because I don't want to wreck the original one. But unfortunately, I think this is... Before we started... Okay, the bottom engines are not integrated. So, like, for example... We could potentially... let's get out of expert mode, because I'm feeling like a dummy. Not really. But like, maybe one variant is where you have a couple of these in a different sort of configuration. got my eye on Bailey today. He is currently snoring away in the library. My in-laws used to own bookstores, so let's actually change the grid so it's a little bit cozier. 16, that would be better. So yeah, we do have a lot of books in the home, which is always nice. Now, why on earth are they in a different plane? Oh, right, because the grid was different before. So one potential option is like we spread out the engines a bit. So it just looks like a bit more of a... I don't think that's necessarily the configuration. Maybe we have 4 in a row. Or we go like that Chinese stealth ship fighter thing that needs 3 engines because they've got such shitty engines. The round condor around the round turret would be an interesting look. I agree with that. I kind of like... part of the issue is... Ideally, I don't want to do too much work. So I'm just going to delete these engines. And then I guess we'll delete these ones. Which should be fairly easy if we just take out these rings and these support struts. So... that should about do it. Engine off. But we would need to like sort of like take this shape and extrapolate and then like... yeah, maybe we'll do something like that. It seems like a good sort of experiment. I might turn the lighting off. The flat lighting is usually better. Let's turn the scene lights off too altogether, so we've got a clearer view of what's going on. All right. So if we do that, we also need to get rid of this tail. And we're going to need a few of these elements that, unfortunately, because of the way we've extruded things, are kind of hard to see. So let's see what we can do. I'm going to... this is a copy. And I'm just going to try and rip out this one face in particular. So I'm going to get rid of all of these extra edges, and hopefully that leaves us with one flat panel. And in theory, if we look at this thing from above, well, that's an unfortunate. Let's get this on the grid properly. There we go. So if we look at this, we should in theory be able to like rotate this, but the question is how much we need to rotate it so that it will match. Because we're going to need to get this to be fairly wide. Let's see. Your in-laws used to own bookstores makes a great band name. Jaren says, ideally I don't want to do too much work. Story of my life. I mean, I'm being honest here, but like when you have a Tribes release, we can't spend weeks and weeks on that. At least not for every release. Like things like the Sphere, that's probably a 2-week job. And I would like to not work as many weekends in 2025. And lean a little bit more on remixing some of the geometry and meshes that we already have. It might be easy to see this if we both go into wireframe and we look from above, but you can kind of see here that's not going to match up as is. So we're kind of like looking for at what point, let's see, 45, that should match. It's kind of this looks like it'll match with the next panel. We could technically try extending this. Let's go to snap this here and there. Hopefully that looks kind of like it's... is it aligned? I don't know. If we go back here, what has happened? That's -5 degrees. Let's go back to there. Does this all line up? It doesn't quite. Yeah, it does. Okay, good. So we want to create a situation where if we know that at 45 degrees it's correct, let's try and see if 22.5 is aligned. It is. Okay, so let's see, calc 22.5 divided by 3. There's got to be a better way. So 7.5 steps. So if I duplicate this again, whoops, duplicate. Why is that not working though? Because that's 7.5. Am I doing this wrong? It bothers your brain that my wireframes are blue. I mean, that's a little bit better. Maybe we have even brighter. There we go. Oh, that's horrible. Let's turn the grid off actually. So I'm sorry, John. But yeah, I don't know why this isn't working. Is it cause... Oh, actually I know why. Wow, is that pivot point not in the center? It looks like it is. But this thing isn't. It looks aligned for everything else. I don't know what's going on. So I guess it might be because we didn't use one of the center ones. MS Paint is pretty straightforward. All right, let's think about this. If this is correct, let's try freezing the transformations. I think these are not... These are not symmetrical. Oh, that's fun. So what are we gonna do? What are we gonna do? Okay, I'm giving myself a headache with these. It's like first episode back and it's already so in control. I'm just trying to like recreate some of this geometry so that we can see better how it's going to work around this circle and if it's correct. So let's try this again. We had one at 45 degrees. No, 22.5 there. Oh, it's because it's 3 in between. I'm an idiot. So technically this is... It should be divided by 4, that's the problem. Calc. Again. 22.5 divided by 4. 5.625 is what we're looking for. So if we... Oh, that's much better. So what have we got? 11 point... 2.5. Is that right? Let's times this by 2. Yeah. So if we then combine these, actually let's just combine these two, and add to this geometry, we should be getting back our sort of like the correct shape, at least. There are better ways to do this than what I'm doing. We probably don't need this full geometry either. I'm just gonna, I could bridge this instead and it would go quicker. Hey Will, welcome. Let's see, this is why I love Second Dynasty community. We all love and yet insult Ben as soon as we can. I mean, that was my spontaneous thought, John, when you said you were joining the stream. I thought, oh, I get to insult you live. So what I would be inclined to do then is to sort of like lift this up and mirror it from the underside. So we have a sort of like flare, I guess, flaring out. Question is, will this align if I rotate it? Yes, that's it, that's it. That's exactly what we wanted. Let's see, that should be at 45, and then that should be at... Wait, why is that invisible? Why are you invisible? 45, and then is it 67.25? So weird that it lost its shader, but oh well. Let's see. Derivative content says Toshiro, I feel like any plans that involve stealing from a hornet is just an exchange of time for pain. Nothing that can be stolen from the hornet to save time. That's a good question. The hornet is on a bit of an angle. It's just different. So, like, I get your point, but then wouldn't we just give it the hornet sort of grill? It's not as round as you think. Don't worry, Ben, I am somewhat working as you stream so I can charge you for insulting you. That's awesome, John. Get back to work. Let's start taking off the bits and pieces here that we don't need. So I'm just going to cut out all this paneling. And we're going to take this tail off. What time is it? We've got 20 minutes left. We can do something with 20 minutes. I don't know if this will be like I'll finish it off myself or if it'll be a handoff to, say, Albin to complete. Boy, Albin's probably going to get dumped with a lot of backlog work. But I got to be working on this next campaign if we're going to launch in 52 days. Assuming that's when we launch, but that's kind of like... Thanks to everyone, by the way, if you bought something during the Black Friday or the winter sale, or you backed Gridforge. We've actually got to a point where we can survive to the next campaign, I think, which is great. I was very worried about that. It was worrying. I always feel guilty for saying that because I love what I do. And also I don't want to really burden other people with my worries as a person with a business. It's just one of those things where sometimes you're eating good and sometimes you're eating noodles. Oh, it looks like a defect. And a random shape. Okay, let's delete that. Do something about the other side. Oh, we missed the edge there. So we should be able to take that butt off. And why don't I switch this back to like a Lambert 1 so it's a bit lighter. Kind of a bit dark in this scene at the moment. I might just increase the... Sorry, we've got an autosave going on. Your favourite dish is rice baked in wine? You ate it 4 times last week? Why? At this rate, John would owe me. I don't know why, but... Well, actually, I do know why, but any mention of wine, especially with cooking, there used to be this Australian TV chef. I can't even remember his name. But it's like one of those programs that's in between other programs and really short. But it was always like, a little bit of wine? And then he's like, and a little bit for me. So he would drink as he was cooking. Good stuff. Hits you right in the nostalgias. I don't know that the monoculture was a good thing, but it sure was easy to have a good reference frame with other people about, what was going on TV and that sort of thing. Like the sort of wine cooler discussions you could have. So that's going to have quite a significant difference here. So we could do our sort of Falcon style engine. Keith Floyd was consistently drinking while cooking. Floyd with his I think that was it. Wait, how many Australians are in the bloody chat? Because this was an Australian program, for sure. And it may have been his name. Yeah. Possibly. Annual Sparrow. Oh, right. I see what you're doing there. Rather than the Millennial Falcon. Or... Millennial Falcon? Oh, God. So, yeah, this would take a little bit more time to work. I kind of want to see what it looks like compared to the rest. So what I'm going to just do is... Actually, this should... No, it doesn't have the same pivot point. So let's just move the pivot points to the same area. And then what I might do is just move aside this one. I do kind of like that, the engine shift there too. That does do something to make it feel extra bulky. So what does this look like? I don't know how I feel about this, guys. Kind of like an axe blade. Yeah, I don't think this works. Like it might work. The fins seem out of place, yeah, but like I mean, even if you get rid of the fins. And the engine, we do have a variant of the wings where it's not like that, but like getting rid of the fins too just completely changes the aesthetics. Yeah. Conflicted. You feel conflicted. Keith Floyd was British, but also travelled a lot. This guy, yeah, I don't know. I think he was Australian. What the hell is an aluminum falcon? Yeah. It needs to be bigger. God, you always want it to be bigger. I just don't. Like, you mean if, like, the flare continues out, like, let's just, duplicate this, and you mean more like that, right? But flatter. I don't hate that as much, but it's still just like... I think the thing is that, like, the bell... I don't hate it as a design, but not for this, and not now. So, yeah, I'm going to move these back over. I might reuse it. Oh, great. I think I've wrecked these ones. It's not quite exactly where it should be. Okay, that one can be zeroed. I didn't do a mesh. I didn't freeze transformations before moving it. So I'm gonna just go back to an earlier step, I think, so that it's manually back in place, and I might actually go and freeze the transformations on these so that we're not going to end up in that situation again. Alright, yeah, I'm sorry guys, this time it didn't work out. I think it could be done, and I think the thing is, I think this wedge would need to be like about here, and getting rid of the sides and that, but sort of making it flare off, sort of like square and then round. And it's just one of those things where it's like, ends up being a much bigger job, because the small version just doesn't look good. It doesn't suit the craft. It doesn't fit into that heavy category. Like, this would make it heavier if it was like flat, but also then you're getting rid of the wings. And really, I wanted to keep it, you know, close to this concept where we've got the back craft. So I think we're better off saving these ones. And I think what we might do is go back to... Sorry, that needs to be over there as well. We might look at seeing what we can do with this thing. Like changing the shape of the engines, because that looks bulky and more interesting to me than the previous one. Maybe we can also like sink these engines down a little bit, or we can possibly, as an alternative, cut these engines a bit and have it as like 4 side-by-side engines. I think that's where we're at that. What about the horizontal engine between 2 round engines, like this shape? Oh, like kind of like the back of a Raptor. Doug Jeffrey says, I think the flare on the engine needs to rise higher, so the horizontal instead of thinning to the exhaust. Yeah, it just doesn't work as a full concept. You like having the Falcon engine. Oh, right, yeah, okay. Yeah, that would also be an interesting concept, actually. Like if we... I'm just gonna very rough house this. You mean like, let's rescale these back to where they were, just so we don't mess it up too much. You mean if we like kept this, but then had our sort of like the engines there, possibly a little bit larger. Like, we don't want to scale in the Y, I think that's the thing. Something like that, but keeping the middle section. Could work. But not today. Those are going to have to get dumped into a workshop later, I think. This scene gets crazy when you've got everything open on it. You were away for a bit. I see we're still in the Falcon engine suggestion. Well, actually, we just... I talked myself out of it, I guess. So I'm sort of going back to the idea of having 4 engines here. And I think we don't need to save out a different version, because, like... Yeah, honestly, that's... I think that's what we're going to do. Is what we're going to do. So I think... Shall we have a vote on... Let's see. Do we want... wait, can I do polls in here? Engage with my audience. Start a poll. 4 horizontal engines. Okay. Engine orientation. Let's see. All 4 horizontal. We have the inner engines lower, outer higher, and then we have the outer engines lower, inner higher. Let's start the poll up and see what you guys think. I hope that makes sense. I think a part of it that is making less sense for me too is actually having these sub-engines. Do we have... I think all of these have that. Also, I think we need to add some RCS into the front. Like, not very much, but you can see here that we have these smaller thrusters, so I think we would need something similar. Seems like people at the moment are voting for this configuration as it is. I'd have to do a few more modifications for it to actually line up correctly. I might go one more over here as well. So it's like... It's pretty subtle, but... Are they touching? There's a gap. That's enough of a gap. These don't look so high fidelity either. I don't really love that about this. I guess these could come down a tiny bit as well. So we've got our gap again. Let's see. So when you see 6 smaller things, let's do this again. Or even start with, let's delete everything except for these. Could this be the magic combination? Let's see, let's scale this down to 0.9. Like, sorry you're talking about the, how about no engines and only RCS? I mean, that would make more sense for a Star Wars flying, right? 6 engines looks good. Well, why don't I close the poll? How many votes did we have? Let's see. We had 18 votes, which is pretty good. Flip the triangle. Okay, so let's start another poll. Let's see. Triangles in. Triangles out. And by triangles, I mean, like, you can see here there's a triangle on either side. So at the moment they point to the center. So let's start the poll and see what people think. And I will do the final adjustment before finishing the stream based on that. Everyone's just triangles out. Let's see, actually we don't want that one, do we? We want this one with the tail. No, we'll just do this one. So by the sounds of it, it sounds like we want to ditch these upper ones. Oh, this is a close one, apparently. Got any more votes in? Because right now it looks like a US election. Or apparently less than 52% is a mandate. Whatever it ended up being. Let's see. Non-Euclidean shapes exist. Shh. We like Euclid here. We're going to have a look at and see what it looks like anyway. So it would make sense to me if we still use the smaller engines here, but we just do something like this. Is that what you wanted? Are you happy now? Doesn't feel like that's on the level, so let's just get into our snap there, make sure these are equal in the middle, and the other ones look okay-ish. Maybe not exactly where they're supposed to be. Let's see if we can see this in plane. Oh, okay, this is the problem. We need to center the pivots. So I'm going to go back to our snap there. And down here. So there's a sufficient enough gap. Let's recombine these. And we can test out how that looks. So this is what you guys asked for. It's very, very beefy. I mean, it's twice as powerful as the Chinese stealth fighter. Because that only had 3 engines. You want them all. You know, actually having these variants... this one's too painful with the Millennium Falcon one, but having these different options, actually we can do that. We can do that. I think that is quite possible. So yet again, your answer has been all of the above. Which is not going to mean I work less weekends. But hey, I love our supporters. Guys, that's it for this week. Let's reconvene next week for another session, hopefully in the office. Would the triangle clip the rear wing? No, it wouldn't. There's still clearance. There's plenty of clearance. So we're all good. Either way, it's all good because the original one was for like so. So that's why I feel confident saying, hey, these all work. So they could be potential options there. They could be exported relatively quickly. So I mean, I'm only joking about having to work on weekends to get this done. So the thing will be choosing which one is the default version. But with this ship, I can guarantee, yes, we can have these 3 different variants. Alrighty. We have a sale on at the moment. Winter sale for the next few days is still on. 40% off the entire store. I think the code is like winter24, which is a bit ironic now. But look on the main page on myminifactory.com and look in our store for that. You should find some links below. If you haven't already, like and follow us. Unless you think this is totally irritating and you never want to see this stuff again. But hey, you guys can actually make a difference. You voted. Your vote counts. Doug says, I'm not buying anything else from you, Ben. That is fair. That is fair. And yeah, only a week left on Gridforge. We will get some more My Mini Factory marketing on that. So hopefully we get a surge. It'd be nice to hit 20. We hit 15, which was, chef's kiss. It's only meant to be a mini campaign. Gridforge, I think we'll be seeing for years to come. So I'll get this thing finished in some time in the future, but with 3 engine options there. So thank you guys for joining the stream. Thank you for your input. It's much appreciated. There's over 503 drivers. Yeah, actually that's the retention, because we had like 520-ish at the end of the month. So I think we're doing very well. You're thinking about making a robot arm bay for Gridforge? Go ahead, matey. Looking forward to seeing it. And of course, if you want to share your designs, please follow the link to our Discord in the links below. We've got an awesome community on that. I never show it on stream, but there are now some galleries on, because they have the forum sort of version that you can have now in our channel. So if you do have printed, painted versions of our products, even if they're custom versions, We would love for you to come in and share them with the community. And I think maybe you guys too, just like me, will get a little bit of a little bit of satisfaction from people, sharing the love and showing how much they like those designs. So get in there, check it out if you haven't already, and if you have something to share, this stuff keeps me going every time. Alright guys, I've rambled long enough. Fare thee well.